Hello, hello.
Hello.
We have Noah with us today as well.
Hey,
One.
Noah.
Oh,
So cute.
thank you. And we're going to get some people joining us in just a second. But hi, Efrain. It is so nice to meet you. I
Yeah,
love the work that you are doing.
thank you. Thank you.
Cannot echo that enough, Efrain. Huge fan. And I love the start when you always say, mi gente. And I'm like, right there. I'm like, yes, that's us.
Yep, yep.
How did you get started with the Latino Dad Connection?
Oof. All right. So my journey started with me working in behavioral health, teaching parenting classes. And what I've noticed is that, when we promote to the community, mostly moms will show up. About maybe 85-90% of moms, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. I love working with moms. But when I became a father, then I was really needing some support, needing some help. So I actually joined a organization that supported fathers right around here. It was called Dads Matter, and I went through the program myself, and I really enjoyed, just going through that and having support from other fathers that have maybe gone through similar experiences, maybe had older kids, maybe had different things going on, relationship with their partner. So there was a lot of collective knowledge. So then after that, I became a facilitator of that program. But then I really saw a need to kind of tailor this to our community, my community, which is the Latino community. And I saw this as a kind of a strength of mine of being bilingual, speaking Spanish and English, and really targeting brown fathers, right? So yeah, I started this project about 7 months ago, like officially as Latino That Connection. But this project has been going on, all my life as I continue to develop, by really seeing like what I could provide for the community and what the need was in the community. So our mission really is to inspire brown fathers to move forward and create their own legacy. And I just didn't see as much for especially fathers of color, in the brown and black community. So yeah, I focus, my work in the brown community, but I also work with other individuals in other communities as well. So that's a little bit about how it got started.
Efrain, I actually have a question for you. So I love the videos that you do with Yaya, the girls. And I'm actually curious, what was your educational experience like going through the school system, and how
Yeah.
has it shaped the choices that you now make with your partner when it comes to making the right choices for the girls?
That's a great question, and it's a little bit two-part because half of my childhood or education was in Mexico. So I went to school in Mexico City um, from ages 5 to 10, and I saw that education system. And then coming to the U.S., complete culture shock. Learning English, learning the culture, and I saw that there was a difference in the education here, and really it's like these two worlds that I live in, right? The Latino, Hispanic, Spanish cultura, and then here the US, right? So what is my identity as an individual? And that's what I really try to encourage my daughters to know and to create their own identity, right? They don't have to really conform to maybe the American way or the Hispanic way. It's just whatever feels best to them is very important. And another thing is like the language, right? I really encourage my daughter to learn Espanol, learn Spanish. She's in a dual immersion program in school, so she's learning mostly Spanish right now. We try to talk to her in Spanish. So I really want her to keep that because I feel that a lot of the culture and identity is also lost when with the language as well. So just a little bit about that. So it's a little different perspective, I guess.
Well, you have that contrast, right? You have that contrast. And I think one of the things, I have a very similar journey, having gone to school in Central America for elementary, and came back and did both public and private school here. But you see the differences, both in terms of quality, what people expect. But the one thing that always stood out for me, and I don't know if this is true for both of you, is that oftentimes the curriculum, the what we teach, strips so much of identity and culture and history is told from one version, and not it's not as multifaceted as it is. And so the entire conversation going on and debate in our nation around critical race theory and having diverse curriculums, I mean,
Yeah.
and having books like children's books that are bilingual and that will help promote the American identity, living side by side with other identities that we carry with us.
Oh, definitely. And I love that you're being so intentional about making sure that your daughter has that bilingual education, not just at home, but in school. So it's reinforced, because that's one of the hardest parts about learning a language in a country that's predominantly English, is that you don't hear it on the radio as much. You don't see it in the store. It's just not a part of that daily life. So I really applaud you for making those decisions. I'm sure it took a lot of forethought and planning to get her into that school. But something I wanted to ask you, because, today we're talking about new school year, new you. You just created a beautiful video with your daughter, talking to her about what she's excited for in kindergarten.
Yeah.
What is something that you can tell parents who are in the process of prepping their kids for school to get ready to go back, or who are already back?
Yeah, we're going through a big transition, not just as parents, but as kids coming back to school. And a lot of these kids are lacking social skills, communication skills, because a lot of them, they were in virtual learning, or just, the pandemic told us, stay away, don't talk to that person, So a lot of kids are lacking these social emotional skills. So it's really important to bring light to that as a parent and as a father. So I remember, like, for us as Latinos, as first generation, a big thing was like, you got to get A's and B's, you got to get good grades and all that, which is, yeah, it's important, but don't forget about the social, emotional, and mental health of our children, because when they're socially, mentally, and physically healthy, the grades will come, right? So I just want to kind of send that message that it's important for us to continue to build those relationships with their children, hold space for them as they go through these changes, So yeah, that's kind of like the message in that video, is continuing to have those open conversations and ask questions.
No, that makes complete sense. And especially because, I mean, as a parent, you're not necessarily in charge of what they're learning, but you do have a lot more control over that social emotional aspect. Sorry, Noah loves my earrings.
That's so cute.
I try to be cute, and he never lets me. But especially with your background being in this behavioral therapy setting, is there anything specific that parents can watch for their kids, like when they're having these conversations? Anything that they should be perking their ears to their kids saying?
Yeah, I think just being curious about their children's day, right? And how things were going, asking different questions, not just the typical, like, how was your day, but like, who made you feel loved today? Who helped you out today? What was different today than yesterday? Things like that, that would like entice more of a different response from children, and being a really good listener as a parent, and just allowing your children to share, and being aware of your reactions as they share, right? Because we want to be that solid object. We want to be able to hold space for them. We don't want to be like, oh my gosh, did that happen? But because then they're like, oh wait, did I say something wrong? You know, so we really want to be able to have that safe space at home. I think that's one of the messages that I send out to parents, is that you don't know if your children might have a safe space at school. Hopefully they do. You know, we want them to have that, but we really want a safe space at home, because you don't know what's going to happen out there. But when they come to your home, you want them to be able to share with you, be in connection with you, especially at that young age, right? As we build up to those teenage years, we start now. So that's kind of the message that I send out.
How do you ensure, that you something interesting that stood out is that you're not sure if the kids will have a safe space at school? And I
Right.
find, we hand over our kids to the school for a big chunk of their day for 18 years plus. And so what kind of tips do you give to parents who need to communicate also and make sure that what you're doing reflects also what's happening, and the communication style and the positivity that's taking place in the classroom?
Yeah, great question. So what I do, and some of the work that I do, is really connecting the parents to the schools, and kind of sending the message that the schools is a part of our village, right? So as a parent, it's very important for us to be intentional about communicating, right, with our teachers, our administrators, getting to know the parents, getting to know the kids in the school. If there's an opportunity to volunteer, or parent meetings, parent organizations that you can be involved in, depending on your schedule and your time and your space. I think it's important for us as parents to be the model of getting involved in our schools, because then we know what's going on. And if things are, not, you want things to change, then you can voice that, right? And it's important for us to voice that change as parents, because it's our kids going into that school. So I really would like the parents to empower parents that their voice matters when it comes to school, and just be involved in the kids' education, especially fathers. That's my message too, right? Getting fathers involved as much as they can. I know fathers sometimes have a different schedule, different work life, but if you can stay connected, also using technology to stay connected. Now we have a lot of applications where you can just message the teachers and know what's going on in your kids' school. It's important to use that as well. So, yeah.
And I really appreciate that message too. I know my husband talks all the time about how it's expected that dads aren't in the picture, or don't want to be involved, or don't want to be asked questions. Have you been able to find any resources for the dads that you work with, or that you can refer other dads to, who are looking for that community and those resources that you've mentioned?
Yeah, so a big resource that you can go and you can get a lot of information like nationwide is fatherhood.gov. This is a kind of like a branch website where there's resources, there's stories, there's programs, books, a lot of those things for fathers. And then depending on the local community, right, there is a big initiative right now to bring more funding to programs that involve fathers, because we see the benefits of fathers being involved in their kids' education and just in general, right? But just there's not a lot of resources right now. So there is emerging resources. There is funding coming into the communities. So I see a big shift in the future of support. And like you said, it's not like that fathers don't want to be involved, but maybe they don't have the space to do so, or maybe they're not encouraged to do so, or maybe they don't know how to, because their fathers were not involved. So we're really like breaking these generational cycles, right? and it's not easy. It's not easy as a father. So that's why it's important for fathers to have a safe space where they can come in and just be themselves.
I know when I was pregnant and we were even reading What to Expect When You're Expecting, the book,
Yeah.
it was geared towards moms, and then they would have these little paragraph sections like for the dads or for dad. And it's something that even the way things are marketed, it's kind of dad optional, if you will. So
Yeah.
I that message in that website. Something else that I wanted to ask, and somebody had mentioned this in the comments, but the questions that you listed to ask your kid at the end of the day, like you just rolled a couple off the top of your head. What was different today versus yesterday? Who made you feel safe today? Who made you feel loved today? And I have never heard those types of questions be asked from a parent to a child, let alone a child in kindergarten or a child who's 4, 5, 6. How can more parents start more conversations like that? Do you have any more sentence openers that parents can use? Because that was amazing.
Yes, yes. I can look for a resource and I can put it on my page. But basically, those questions came from another father that participated in my group. He was a social worker, and he mentioned that he uses these type of questions to entice just different types of thinking. And the cool part about it is that a lot of times when we ask young children, like these questions, they might not get it, or they might just be like, what are you talking about? But as we continue doing it, we start building that emotional intelligence within them, right? And he was sharing that there's times that I don't even ask them, but they just come and like, Dad, so and so made me feel loved today. It's like, whoa, okay, like, so we're building these skills with our children just with these questions. So I can definitely post a resource. I will share that, and parents can find that.
I love that, because you're kind of learning as you're going. It's part of the art here of both parenting, making all these choices and changes so that you can be the best version of yourself with your kids.
Yes, definitely.
So I have a question for both of you. What words come to mind when you think of parent power? Because I heard both of you talk about getting involved, having a seat at the table, being part of the decision-making process. What are the words that come to mind when you think of parent power?
I can try to go first if you need some time.
Yeah, go for it.
When I think of parent power, when we think of parent power, I think of what comes to mind. I think of patience. I think that there's a lot of power in restraint. I think there's a lot of parent power in control. Something that my mom used to do for us when we were younger, and that she's been like encouraging me to do more, is that when she was upset with us, her voice would actually get lower and slower, which was terrifying. But there was so much control and restraint and focus in her voice, because yelling, you can learn to tune out. But when you actually have to lean into someone to hear what they're saying, even if they're trying to punish you, which is such a scary combination, can't emphasize that enough. But there's power in that. And so kind of wielding this parent power in ways where I don't exert all of my energy chasing my son around, or I'm not, my hands are flailing in the bathtub. It's more focused and it's more together. That's what comes to mind today.
Love it.
Yeah, great question. I love what you said about keeping yourself composed, right? Because I think sometimes when we feel like parent power is overpowering, right, the child or another person, but really the power comes when you're able to take that deep breath and think about what you're going to be doing. So that's where power comes. And one of the things that I share with parents is that we cannot control our children or overpower our children. You know, they have their own mind, decisions, thoughts. So if they really want to do something, they're going to do it, right? But we have the power to control, or, you know, just uh, guide ourselves, you know, in a way that we influence our children to do the right thing, or to, you know, go in a certain way. So really, when we shift that focus to ourselves, is that's where the power comes, rather than trying to guide, you know, or have our children do something, right? And then another thing comes up is that when it comes with parent power, is the power that our voices have, especially we're talking about schools, right? uh, you know, a lot of times in the minority, with minorities, they feel like they're less than, or that, you know, if I say something, you know, that people are not going to listen, because we're just used to people not listening to us. So it's important that our voices be heard, that if you're a parent, you know, your voice matters. You know, you might not always be right, but your voice matters. So it's important for us to just continue, you know, practicing that, no matter who you are, uh, where you come from. You know, you have the right to advocate for your children. So that's another thing that comes to mind.
So powerful. That inner knowing. I really heard that. The responding and not reacting, which is so much of what both of you shared around how you exercise and activate and show up and be in your own power. So super excited to be here with both of you today. And it's a happy Monday. I am a little sick, and you can probably hear it in my voice.
Yeah.
But a big week ahead, and so much happening with kids going back to school, with co-parenting, juggling all these schedules. And just happy that both of you are creating these videos to share with other parents, to share with the community, because I really know that these videos are the seed that's needed to be able to help provide some guidance or support to someone who might feel more alone, or another parent who may not have that village and that community, so hungry to be connected and to learn.
Yes, I can't emphasize enough how much community I found on your page with just the Latino Dad Connection. And I feel like during the pandemic, a lot of people became parents for the first time. And I know if the resources were lacking for moms, they were 1000% lacking for dads. So I really commend your efforts. Only 7 months, I would never have known you're a pro. And yeah, I'm just very excited about the work that you're doing.
Yeah, and that's really our goal, to create a community with brown fathers, or just fathers that want to come in connection with us. Even, you know, in my profile, I have my other friend, or, you know, co-founder of Latino That Connection, because I want to show that it's not just about me, it's about the community. It's about coming into connection as a village, so that we can continue basically doing our own work and influence the work that we do. You know, how we relate to our partners. So I talk a lot about, you know, that relationship with mothers and fathers, and or whatever partner you have, and, you know, how can we be in a better relationship. You know, we talk about the relationship with our children, we talk about our physical and mental health, we talk about how to guide sexual energy, something that, you know, a lot of fathers might be maybe don't have the resources to do, but it's important for us as males to do that. You know, we talk about finding purpose, so it's more of like, once again, geared towards fathers, geared towards the masculine, I guess. And I would like to ask Aida a quick question. With Goodbeat, I love the, you know, how you've created, you know, such a also community. But in your vision, what is the importance of that father role, or the importance of uplifting father voices in your page? So I just kind of wanted to get some feedback about that.
Yeah, Yeah, Efrain. I mean, uplifting the father role, especially because there's so many stigmas around parents of color and fathers being absent from the picture. It's just kind of assumed. You see it in the media, you see it in movies. And so being able to begin to shift that narrative and to shift that perspective for other folks, for even women to see dads like you, to turn around and look at their husband and be like, hey, you know what? We can show up to the parent teacher conference, or tu anda, you can go, or just that nudge sometimes you need, because you often fall into these patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And for Goodbeat, the essence and the heart of this channel and this community, it's really about bringing people together to share that collective knowledge, so that we can support each other in ensuring that our kiddos get the best education possible. Because every parent has big dreams for their kid. There's never a parent who's not going to tell me my kid is the next astronaut, the next something. And it's possible, but when we hand the kids over, we got to ensure that we do our part, our due diligence too, to show up and to ask the hard questions, to communicate, and to listen. I think listen to teachers, but also feel like you have the power to say what you need and ask for the support that's needed. So Efrain, I mean, fathers are an equal, and then I would say, if not an equal and super important role to have, especially in our education system where you mostly see women. And I can share that I spent the last decade organizing in communities and schools, working with many underserved families, mostly Latino and Black. And it was always the moms at the coffee. But what it required, I'd say the takeaway I took from that is that it's not that fathers don't care. And what it requires is that the systems and the people who want them to show up. So if you want dads to show up, you got to adjust your schedule and your systems.
Yeah.
And make an added effort. Get the funding you need to be able to invest in bringing dads into the conversation, versus starting from the point of view that, it's just the moms who are going to show up at El Cafecito en la Mañana, and it's going to feel like mom community. And so I'd say that it's a very intentional thing that needs to happen in our schools. And it starts with dads like you showing up and start to shift.
Yeah.
Well said.
But we are long overdue. We've had a great conversation. I am so excited to be partnering with both of you, and I'm always kind of on my toes, waiting for the next video of Noah, who makes these viral, amazing appearances, and of the girls as well, because it warmed my heart to hear how excited Yaya was when you asked her questions about what she expected to go back to school, because it's been a rough year for a lot of kids, especially young kids. The pandemic is an odd way to start your journey in school. And so coming back and starting fresh this year is going to be a shift.
Oh, definitely. Thank you.
Yep. He was like, I absolutely.
Time. I just been muting him.
No, well, thank you so much for providing this space and uplifting our voices, uplifting the community, because it really does take a village for us to create change. And I love the work that everybody's doing. I think it's so cool that you have so many different parents, just with their own unique style, and kind of showing different ways of doing things. So if you don't resonate with me, you can resonate with somebody else. But the main point is continuing that self-development journey, self-healing journey, so that our children have a safer environment for them to grow up.
I totally agree.
I love it.
Well, thank you guys so much. I'm going to go put Noah down for overdue nap. And hopefully everyone who is watching, you're able to follow, whether you already follow Good Beats or me or Efrain, you can follow one of us and just make more connections. And we will be back next Monday. And we will also be looking out for more Latino Dad Connection media. And I will definitely be reposting stuff. I know Good Beats will as well. So, yeah.
We want to hear from parents. We want to amplify parents. We want to elevate and support this community of parents to be front and center. And so if you have stories to share and you have something you want to be part of this community, have a video that you think would benefit other parents, please DM us, tag us, follow us, like us. You have the full range of options, but we are here with our arms wide open and excited to partner with more parents.